Last night, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from ending temporary protected status for Haitians living and working legally in America, and the fight is far from over. The Department of Homeland Security immediately stated that they are taking the case to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we know what that means with this Supreme Court. Haitians could lose their status in really a matter of weeks, including 15,000 Haitians living and working in the town of Springfield, Ohio. And we all know, too, that Springfield, Ohio is a small town of just 60,000 people. Local residents have been preparing for a 30-day ice surge, and that preparation has to continue. Governor DeWine has said that Springfield could be the next Minneapolis. So this is still urgent, and that is why we are all so grateful you're here. There is so much we have to do to support this community. And of course, Springfield has been through so much. It's familiar to all of us because of what Trump and JD Vance said, lying about the Haitian community in Springfield during the 2024 campaign. And we've seen enough of these ice surges now to know what we can expect. So here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to talk about what's happening on the ground, what it means in particular for kids. We're going to talk about what's next legally in all this. We're going to talk about what we can learn from Minneapolis. And we're also going to talk about how we can stay safe. Before we get started, I do want to thank our partners all across Ohio who are supporting this call. Innovation Ohio, Undivided, Ohio Student Association, Ohioans Against Extremism, Ohio Immigrant Alliance, Ohio Organizing Collaborative, and ACLU of Ohio. Oh, and Honesty for Ohio Education. So now let's bring on two Springfield leaders. Let's bring up Pastor Carl and Viles if he has arrived. Carl Ruby, you are pastor of Central Christian Church, and you work very closely with Viles Dorsenville, who is the executive director of the Haitian Help and Support Center. And you all, as I understand it, have become good friends and really co-pastors in many ways, working together in your community.
Yeah.
Can,
Yep.
can, can we just start, though, by you sharing with us what it was like yesterday to get that court
Mhm.
decision that delays the end of protections for the Haitian community. But of course, knowing that the Supreme Court could change that. Can you just walk us through what the last 24, I think it's been exactly 24 hours since that decision came down.
Yeah. Yesterday, apart from things involving my family, was the best day of my life. We had an event in the morning where we had hoped for 300 people. We had 1,250 people show up to support Haitians, and there were two times the fire marshal had to ask people to leave before we could go on with our. And it was hopeful. I mean, it was like everyone was nice. There weren't any nasty signs. No one was, it was just
Yeah.
beautiful. It was people coming together, hundreds of pastors who'd never worked before together, never worked together before, all standing together, saying very clearly, whatever our faith is, God loves immigrants. And he tells us that we are to love immigrants. So that's what yesterday was all about.
I got
It
messages all
was
morning from
beautiful.
people who were there. I got
Yeah,
messages all
it
morning
was
from people who were
beautiful.
there. They were all blown away by all the speakers. I think the crowd being so much larger than anyone expected.
We even had Presbyterians and Episcopalians dancing, which is major accomplishment.
Major. Oh, that's so heartening to hear. And that's what I've heard actually about any training or rally you all have had in Springfield over the last weeks. It's, that just the number of people showing up has
Yeah,
been more than anyone expects. Can you
absolutely.
can you talk to us about how um, your church works with the Haitian community? You, again, your partnership with Viles and the friendship that has formed out of that, and what that's meant for your church and your experience as a resident of Springfield.
I've had a passion for immigration for a long time and had a nonprofit for a while called Welcome Springfield, working primarily with Latino immigrants. So I've always been involved in advocating for immigrants. And I started hearing news about Haitians coming. As a matter of fact, one of our state representative called me one day in an absolute panic saying, I hear there are 3,000 Haitians coming to Springfield. And I said, wonderful. Um, um, and so it, the story has to begin with the fact that Springfield was a city in decline. We've been shrinking for 50 years. We're all the way back to where we were in 1920.
Yeah.
And for the first time in half a century, we grew. And Springfield went from being the fastest shrinking city in America to one of the fastest growing cities in America.
Wow.
And, and it has, let me give you one kind of example. And I wish I could talk with the president about this because he's apparently a real estate guy. Springfield, we were losing population, so you're not going to be building a whole lot of houses in a context like that. In the last couple of years, time frame when the Haitians have been here, there are 3,000 houses that either are already built, are being built, or are being planned to be built in Springfield. That hasn't happened in half a century. Um, so yeah, I mean, immigrants are part of an amazing success story that's unfolding in Springfield, and I wish, you know, I wish some of the politicians would come and visit and see the wonderful things that are happening in Springfield.
Yeah, I mean, all of the contributions to the workforce, to the tax base, the contribution to our GDP, I mean, it's
All of that, yeah,
all of that. Yeah. And what a story to go from
yeah.
this shrinking town
Well,
to
I mean, there was an article that came out yesterday that Springfield, this last past year, led the state in job loss. So since the president made the comments, the horrible comments he made in the debate,
yeah,
it has cost us jobs. We went from really doing well, and everyone's excited because it's like the first time we've grown in a long time. To we've lost people because of that statement. Um, in a typical year, President of the Chamber of Commerce told me we get 20 to 25 inquiries about maybe moving a business to Springfield. He said we have not had one since the cats and dogs statement. So that has done untold damage on our community.
yeah. And we stood up for Springfield then, and we have to keep showing up. We're going to do it now, and then
Absolutely.
we're going to keep
Yeah,
showing up, and we're going to keep
absolutely.
showing up. That's what it requires.
Yeah.
Viles, thank you so much for joining us. I know that the demands on your time are so enormous right now. Can you talk to us about how you're doing? Carl was telling us about what the last 24 hours has been for him from the service yesterday, getting the news last night, but we know this fight is not over. This is simply a delay. How are you and how is your community?
I am okay, and thank you for having me. I've been feeling a little bit relieved after the judge ruling yesterday. Um, but first and foremost, I just want to say this, as I said it yesterday. We are, our heart goes out to the families of Rene Good and Alex Preddy. Um, I, 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 I am always reflecting on their lives. And if they are no longer in this world, it's because on behalf of us as immigrants. So they stood in solidarity with us. They wanted to defend us, and their lives were taken away from them. So may their souls continue to rest in peace. We're also grateful for the supporters in Springfield. It was a wonderful thing. As a matter of fact, I was sitting on the stage and chatting with Gail and Joseph, the co-founder and executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance. I told her if we had something to eat, this is where we should have stayed for the whole day, because it was so good to see people enjoying the program, and the speakers were so wonderful. They were on top of it. It was fabulous. So, but what after the ruling of last night, we continue to tell folks to continue to lay low because it's not a final victory.
Right.
Um, we continue to tell them to walk through the plans that they have made. And we continue to tell them that they can continue to reach out to us, to Central Christian Church, um, to for whatever they need, and we are here just to help them. So we cannot give ourselves the luxury of living as if everything is normal, because we know that most of the time the federal government is not cooperating with the local government for whatever they are doing. We don't know what can happen in the next 48 or 72 hours. So we are making sure that we continue to be supportive of the community. We are trying to see if there is anything that can be done for them to renew their driver's license. I think there will be a statement coming out from the attorney, immigration attorney of Haitian Bridge Alliance, to tell folks that they can continue to work. And I don't know if there is anything that can be done, because we see that the governor of Massachusetts make a statement to say that employers still have to continue to keep the employees, because the ruling means that they can still continue to work or and go about the business. So we are so grateful for that. But we believe that they have to continue to be cautious,
Yes.
um, because the ruling is not a final victory, actually.
No, not at all. And we know that last night, immediately following the ruling, the DHS said that they are taking this to the Supreme Court. This is a precarious situation. The Haitian community all across this country, and representing 25% of the population in Springfield, needs our support. We're going to show up for Viles and for his community, and two other organizations that are working hard on the ground to support parents and families who are very concerned about being separated from their children. Viles' organization provides things like rent assistance, just navigating all of the challenges that these families have to right now. And then another organization we're supporting is St. Vincent de Paul Community Center. We're going to hear from their founder in a moment, as well as ABLE, which provides legal aid, critical services to be provided right now and in the coming days and weeks. This is a very precarious situation. Let's show up. So if you donate to this fund, we will split the money evenly and quickly between these three critical organizations. Let's raise the funds. Let's show solidarity with Springfield right now and Viles and his community. So, Viles, I want to ask you about something specific, because I know that you still have family members who are in Haiti. Haiti has a do not travel warning from the US State Department due to gang violence, kidnappings, but you've got family members still there. What are you hearing from them? And how does that impact just how you think about all of this in terms of members of your community in Springfield and this impossible situation of, being here and the idea of contemplating, going back?
Yeah, I think that this is why I always tell folks that immigrants' life is not for the weak, because you have two things to carry on with. Checking on your family back home on a daily basis to know if they're okay, by the fact that it's a condition where there is no respect for law. It's a country of lawlessness. I mean, somebody can come to you and do any harm to you and cause any harm to you, and they just go without any investigation or without any follow-up. So on the ground of Haiti now, the first thing is that the international airport of Port-au-Prince has not been in operation for almost a year now. And this is why sometimes folks are asking question, if you are deporting those folks, where you gonna put them? Because there is only almost only one airport in operation, is the one in the north. And most of the people sometimes they are coming from the west, and the west airport is not working. And the US embassy in Haiti has not been operating properly because of the impact of gang violence. And my brother used to live, I can say, 2 miles away from the US embassy. And he had to flee his home because of the impact of gang violence. So everybody now, if you're not like in a type of shelter for your life, you are looking for a small place where you believe it might be safer for you to stay, because kids cannot go to school. Most of the businesses are not up in operation. And this is the situation in Haiti now. 90% of the capital have been taken by gangs. And most of the time, they have more ammunitions than the police force, than the military. So actually, it is the condition on the ground now. And the other thing that I want to put out is that the young people in Haiti, if we have an American dream here, we don't have a Haitian dream in Haiti. I mean, the young people, they can be at university level, but they still uncertain for their future because there is no employment in Haiti for folks. So this is the type of country that we have. We don't want to speak politics because the conversation tonight is about humanity. We don't want to put any politics in it, but you know how geopolitics works. But we continue to thrive. Folks in Haiti keep checking on us here to know how we are doing because of all those immigration crackdown. And we keep checking on them to know that if
Yeah.
everything is okay on a daily basis with the gangsters. So it's like when you speak to a Haitian, sometimes they tell you that they are tired of running, fleeing their country. And when they came here to look for a safe haven, and all of a sudden they become a scapegoat for political agenda or whatever. So you can imagine mentally what that can mean for immigrant here in the USA.
Absolutely. It does sound exhausting. And yet, in the midst of it, you all are modeling for all of us what it means to check up on your neighbor.
Yes.
You all checking up on them, your family in Haiti checking up on you. And that is what we all need to be doing for each other right now. Okay, let's turn back on the chat. I want to keep those donations continuing to come in. Pastor Carl and Viles, thank you so much for joining us. I want to let you both go. You've got so much good work to continue to do. I want to bring up one of the other organizations that we are going to be donating funds that we collect here tonight. Yes, look at all these donations. Everyone's saying they donated. And by the way, you can donate again. I want to bring up Casey Rollins now. Casey is the executive director of Vincent St. Paul Community Center in Springfield. And Casey, I think the first thing I ever read about you was the headline said, Grandma racing to help Haitian parents protect their children as deportations near. And I thought, I got to meet this grandma. So thank you for joining us tonight. Let's talk about what all of this has meant for the thousands of kids in Springfield who will be impacted. What are you seeing? What are these children and families facing? Just tell us what you're doing every day.
Well, I shudder to imagine what they're facing if they're forced to go back to Haiti. We're just seeing what they're seeing here and fearful for what they might see if they're forced to go home. While we know that many of these people would love to be able to go home, it's just not safe for them to go home. And so just imagine that, not being able to go back to your home that you once loved because it's so dangerous, and then being, forced out here when there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And then having children that not only can they not go back there, they're American citizens, they're not being welcome to stay here. It's just unbelievable that these children are not welcome by many people, and they're currently sort of in limbo because of all this, or they would be rendered in limbo if Americans weren't going to fight for them. So I thank you all for letting me be here tonight and talk about this. I will tell you that we're not experts. We're just volunteers that have been called, and we answered because there's no other way to take on these things. We're not volunteers even. We're voluntold. And that's, straight from my mother's mouth for many years. But the children, they're just absolutely precious. They're wonderful. We see them from, 4 days old to 18 years old. And in fact, some of those children have children themselves now. They're in their 20s. We have Hispanic children as well that we sometimes forget because we think about TPS and, we don't think about Hispanic children. But we need to be reminded that I've got four of my grandchildren here with me tonight. We need to be reminded that while it is about TPS, and yes, those are the folks that seem to be the target, lots of Hispanic families have, and mostly I think men has been my experience, have already been picked up. And we are working with the mothers and children and some of the grandmothers and great aunts who now are dealing, who are extended family who are dealing with what do we do? Dad's gone and we have custodial matters to take care of. So anyway, we see sometimes 7 or 8 families a day in our facility. So lots of babies everywhere. It looks like a wonderful little romper room. And
Casey, can you speak to the numbers of families that would be impacted? I mean, the number of children actually who have even been born to Haitian immigrant families since
so
they
the
arrived in
number
Springfield.
is like a moving target, and I hate to use the term target these days, but we in July I had gone to a press conference with Governor DeWine and numerous other agencies, and a lot of times the public agencies directors are hesitant to speak out about some of these things, and so they leave it to the volunteer nonprofits to speak up. And so I said, Governor DeWine, are you aware that we have over 1,000 Haitian babies in Springfield? And he said, what?
Yeah.
And I said, over 1,000. And so the health department director was sitting to my right. And I said, Chris, why don't you verify that? And he said, well, which I had clued him in, the health director, I was going to say that. So he had the numbers. And this was July 2025. I said, could you verify the number? And he said, effective July 2025, there were 1,217 Haitian babies from 0 to 4. And why 0 to 4? Because those were the humanitarian parole babies. And those were the numbers, 1,217. And Governor DeWine said, you mean like all the babies born in Springfield? And he said, nope, that's just the Haitian babies. So about a month later, I said if that didn't leave us all shocked enough, about a month later, I said, well, Chris, what about the Hispanic children? And I believe it was 900 and some babies that we had 0 to 4. Again, also impacted and needing passports. That was why I wanted to know. What are we going to do? We've got to get these children passports. So we didn't have specific numbers about 4 to 6, but then we talked about the numbers of the children in school. And from, preschool to age 18 or 19, I think kids can go to school till they're 21 now, right? In the public school. But in the public school alone, there were, I think, 1,300. And so those are unique. Those are not the 0 to 4 children. So you can do those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a ton of kids right there. Not a ton, but that was
It
a lot.
is. No, it
Speaking,
is. Even just one family facing this kind of trauma requires a ton of attention,
and
support.
then we started seeing people, we didn't really advertise this, but we started seeing some young mothers who were also American citizens in their 20s. And they said, could we do this? I said, absolutely. You need a passport. You get go get the passport. So, you know, we just keep going, and we have done this with donations. We
Yeah.
have done this with donations, and it's about 200, it's $195 per passport, and that is if there's no complication. So do you want me to talk about what that looks like?
Well, actually, what I'm going to do is that Casey, I'm going to thank you because
Okay.
what we need to do is pause the chat again. I've just seen that we are over $50,000 already in terms of what we've raised. We're halfway through the hour. Casey Rollins needs more volunteers. She needs more support on staff. Like, let's give these organizations more resources. Casey, I want to have you back for so many more events and share more of these incredible stories. Also, please keep texting me the photos of you with these kids because they're just like keeping me break my heart and keep me going at the same time. Please do
Taught me.
that.
I forgot I had that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And also, Casey, you've got your own grandkids right there in the house with you. Like go hug them, get fueled up and keep bringing those hugs, transferring them between all of these kids. We're so grateful for what you are doing. And we want to make sure now to continue to give folks on this call all the information they need to understand exactly what is going on and how they can
Yeah.
help. So thank you so much, Casey Rollins. You are truly
Thanks all to all of you. Thank you so
yes.
much.
Now we're going to talk about what is going on in the courts because I know how much you all care about being really informed on this. Okay. So we are going to now invite on Emily Brown. She is a law professor and director of the Immigration Clinic at The Ohio State University. And we also are going to bring on Lynn Tremonte of the Ohio Immigration Alliance, which is doing such important work across the state. Okay, Emily, I want to start with you. Can you walk us through what is happening in the courts? A federal judge, of course, ruled last night to extend temporary protected status for Haiti, but the Trump administration says they're going to the Supreme Court. What happens now?
So thank you, Katie. I just want to say to start that the decision that the judge out of the District of DC issued last night is one of the best decisions I've ever read. I highly recommend it, whether you're a lawyer or not. There is just some amazing language in there about our Haitian community and about what the Trump administration has done to them and how it is absolutely unjust. So, the next step is that what the government has already said that they are going to appeal, the Trump administration is going to appeal. And so what they will likely do based on what they did when this same thing happened last year with Venezuela TPS is they will appeal to the DC Circuit, the Circuit Court of Appeals, and they will ask for what's called a stay pending appeal. So basically they will ask for the higher court to not allow this order to stay in place during the whole course for the litigation to play out, because this is an early decision, right, in the course of the lawsuit. And so if the Circuit Court of Appeals doesn't give the government what they want, then they will appeal it to the Supreme Court. And that's where things are worrisome, because the Supreme Court, when this happened in Venezuela, they granted the Trump administration what they wanted. Now, Venezuela and Haiti are different. The conditions on the ground are different. The timing is different. So I'm not saying for sure what the Supreme Court will do, but that is concerning that that could happen sometime in the next few months. And like everybody has been saying, last night was an amazing victory, but it is only temporary. And we just don't know, what's going to happen or when exactly it will happen.
Okay, Lynn, you work year round all the time with immigrant communities all across the state of Ohio. Can you walk us through a little bit of like what happens, what the stakes are here? Like how quickly does it happen? How do lives change overnight with, when we know back in Haiti how unstable conditions are? Viles talked in vivid detail about what is going on the ground there. So what happens when TPS expires for Haiti or any other country?
Right. So, hey, everybody, Lynn Tremonti at the Ohio Immigrant Alliance. So great to be here. TPS is a temporary status. And so it has a deadline and a date, and you have to plan your life in these little tiny chunks. Right now, Haitians are in limbo because they don't know how long the status is extended for. How do you plan your life? How do you know where your kids are going to go to school? How do you sign a lease? So these are the things that many of us take for granted because we have the birthright to be in this country. But when there's a border and there's these systems that have decided that you have to follow these other rules, it becomes very confusing. The other thing is that any minor mistake, anything that goes wrong could dramatically impact your future. So people might be trying to get asylum. They might be trying to sponsor themselves, get sponsored for an immigrant visa, things like this. And they're just constantly walking on pins and needles their entire life because they don't want to do the wrong thing, post the wrong thing on social media, and get banished from a country where they finally feel safe.
I just felt my own stress level go up just imagining what, that would be like, really day to day. Emily, I want to go back to you for a moment because you said that this is very likely to go to the Supreme Court. DHS had said that is their intention, that it could happen very quickly. I know around Venezuela, when we spoke, you indicated that happened in like less than a 2-month period, the entire process. So we're really talking about, maybe just 8 weeks. It could be less. And you've said that it really could happen out of the blue without warning coming from. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So what happens is that when the Supreme Court issues its order, if it says no stay pending appeal, then TPS is terminated. And that means people lose their work authorization. Their work authorization cards that have an expiration date of February 3rd, 2026 still have to be honored going forward as long as the judge from last night's order is in place. But if the Supreme Court lifts it, they would lose their work authorization and they would then be subject to being detained and possibly deported at any point, essentially. And so that could happen very quickly. It could also be that DHS, once the Supreme Court makes its decision, DHS would order like a 60-day wind down period of some kind. We don't know what they would do, but we do know that it would likely quickly end, which is what happened with Venezuela.
Lynn, we know that ICE already is in Ohio, as you know, ICE is all across the country. Is any community safe from ICE at this point? I feel like in some ways people are like, oh, okay, they're coming to Springfield, now they're not. So we need to understand this doesn't keep Springfield safe or really anywhere, even in the meantime. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, Congress has given billions of dollars to Immigration Customs Enforcement and the Border Patrol. It's becoming the largest federal law enforcement agency, and immigration detention is on track to be larger than the federal prison system. We are putting people in criminal jails whose only issue may be a civil violation, or they may still be in status and pursuing a result. They may not even be out of status. So it's insane. Detention in Ohio has increased over 1,000% in just 1 year. So our biggest goal at this point is to stop these county jails from having the ability to put immigrants on civil detainers inside. Incarceration is so disruptive to families, to the individuals, and it's not necessary. They do it to get people to give up their cases, to stop fighting. They do it to break their spirits, but we're paying for it. Our tax dollars are paying to put them in these jails.
Yeah. Okay, you all just heard Lynn call out Congress. We need Congress to hear from us. And right now in Congress, there is a very critical 2-week window where the US Senate is negotiating under what terms the DHS will be able to continue to stay open, under the terms by which they will pass an appropriations bill for DHS. There is leverage right now for people who need to stand up for us. Our members of Congress, particularly US senators, need to hear from all of us right now because this negotiation is happening. Like right now, our US senators are meeting about this. And if they're not hearing from us, they think we don't care. Okay, so I don't care if your US senators are Democrats or Republicans, they all need to hear from you. All of these letters get counted. And we will send you a confirmation email once you do this, where you can take additional steps either tonight after the call or tomorrow to call them as well. Okay, Emily, I want you to speak in particular to in Ohio, why it is also important to make sure that Governor DeWine, who has been saying a lot of nice words about the Haitian community, he is from Springfield, Ohio. He and his wife have ties to Haiti, and but we still have some concerns that his nice words won't necessarily ultimately match his actions and what we need to see in terms of accountability when it comes to law enforcement here in our state cooperating or not cooperating, as we've seen good actions of that in Minneapolis. What do we need to be concerned about here in Ohio when it comes to our local and state law enforcement and what we expect to see of Governor DeWine?
Well, Katie, really the biggest concern is that the Border Patrol and ICE, to maybe a lesser degree, but we all know the Border Patrol and ICE are completely working together all across the country on everything they're doing right now. But the Border Patrol and ICE have a history of working in particular with the Ohio State Highway Patrol. They actually literally go on co-patrols together, where a Border Patrol agent rides in the passenger seat of an Ohio State Highway Patrol car. And if they're doing that level of collaboration, which they've primarily done in Northern Ohio up to this point, but if we see that kind of coordination spreading around the state, going to places like Springfield, that's just going to lead to more people being pulled over for routine traffic stops and then getting sent into immigration detention and eventually the deportation pipeline, right? And so Governor DeWine has direct control over the highway patrol, obviously. And so that's an area where he can really make sure that the highway patrol is not in any way being used to help with immigration enforcement. Their job is to keep the highways safe in Ohio. Local law enforcement, this is an area we can all have influence over our local elected officials. I will say, like here in Columbus, where I am, our city did a great job when we had an ICE surge before Christmas, the week before Christmas. The city was very adamant that the Columbus police do not work with ICE. They repeated it over and over again. And, we held them accountable. The community held them accountable. And so that is also going to have to happen in local areas all around the state. And people that are in the Springfield area, in the Columbus area, other areas seeing immigration enforcement need to make sure that their local police understand that we want them to be keeping us all safe, not targeting our immigrant neighbors.
Y'all, this is one of the most disturbing things I learned this week is the extent to which here in Ohio, our highway patrol has worked with Border Patrol, which we all know, as Emily said, is working closely with ICE. Governor DeWine needs to hear from you. There are a lot of Ohioans on this call. You all really showed up tonight, Ohioans. Me, as an Ohioan, I'm saying to all of you, let's take this action now. If you live in Ohio, contact Governor DeWine right now to demand that no Ohio law enforcement is cooperating with ICE. We cannot have that. And we're going to give you not only phone numbers to call directly to DeWine's office, but also others throughout his administration who need to hear from you tomorrow. This is how we impact change in our state. And then you're also going to find out what's going on in your county. And you're also going to find out what's going on in your town. And we are going to be those voices to stand up for our neighbors in all the ways. Emily and Lynn, I've got to have you both back. You're making me smarter every moment. Thank you for your advocacy and knowing all the things. We're so grateful to you. Okay, next, I want to bring up a very special guest that we have who is joining us from Minneapolis. With everything that's been going on in Minneapolis, we didn't want tonight to pass without taking a chance to really learn lessons from what is going on. So we have Reverend Ashley Horan, who is a minister. I understand, Ashley, you actually live a block from where Renee Good was murdered.
Yep.
And you have been organizing with fellow clergy and members of your community before then and since. Just looking back, can you just tell us, like, what are the most important steps your community took to prepare? What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
Yeah, so I mean, as you said, I live a block from where Renee Good was killed. I am a parent, I'm a minister. I think one thing that I want to just say is how the texture of Minneapolis right now is that everybody is doing something. Our entire community is so clear that we are protecting our democracy, that we are keeping our neighbors safe, and that everybody has a role to play. So, I mean, unfortunately, Minneapolis has been through similar things in the past. I've lived here for many years. When Jamar Clark was killed, when Philando Castile was killed, when George Floyd was killed, we've had these sort of inflection moments, and we have learned things. So, things like block level signal chats and door knocking campaigns to just get to know all of our neighbors. Trainings for medics and legal observers. These kinds of things have been going on for a long time. But I want to say that even though we've had these experiences, like Minneapolis is not extraordinary. Like, I think it's really easy to look from the outside and think that this is like a bunch of superheroes doing things that have taken decades to build. But what I really want to emphasize here is it is a bunch of very ordinary people understanding their particular gifts and skills and strengths, leveraging their connections, their relationships, their institutions in so many thousands of ways. So, I think the things that have been effective are our creativity, our willingness to learn as we go and adapt. We've seen ICE have to pivot their tactics because our community has gotten so good at protecting our neighbors that they're not able to kidnap the folks down the block anymore, right? And they are here. They are dangerous. They continue, regardless of what the news is telling you, they are still here and threatening our communities. But, I want to say every form of your community and relationship and organization is a potential hub of resilience and resistance. Your churches, your book clubs, your gyms, your schools, your PTAs, your small businesses, all of these entities and all of these sort of small units are working together. And so, you know, what I would encourage folks to do is to talk now about the resources that you have to mobilize, right? Like, who do you know now? Where do you have money? Where do you have connections? Does your church or your school have space that you can offer to local organizers? Who do you know outside of your community who wants to help, who might run your spreadsheet or track your donations? Like, there's so many ways for folks to get involved. And for me, in the midst of the horror right now, that is where the hope is in everybody finding their role and their lane, including our kids and our elders. So many amazing people showing up right now.
Ashley, I read that there are over 100 completely ad hoc neighborhood response groups. They're running just, on their text chat, signal
Yep.
chains. It's not, I think sometimes people think, oh, well, I don't run a nonprofit organization. I'm not the leader of some major institution in my town. So it probably doesn't matter if I reach out to a couple of friends and try to help. Those are actually, that's what's leading this movement that we all are seeing every day in our feeds in Minneapolis. Is that right? I'm hearing that it's this powerful,
Yeah.
actually leaderless movement.
Or let's call it a leaderful movement, actually, because what I want to say is that everybody, when people see a gap, they are moving to meet it. And unlike other moments where it's sort of been, well, let's wait for the right 501(c)(3) or the government to come in and be the solution, right now the government is the problem. And so what that means is that the people's responsibility is to find the solutions, and it's happening in these amazing ways. So, I got on my blocks chat because there was, something had happened in my neighborhood. This was months ago. And somebody came and knocked at my door and said, "Hey, are you on the block level signal chat?" This person was ready to speak in Spanish or English or Somali because those are the folks who live in my neighborhood. And I literally got on it because somebody came to my door and said, "Hey, we want to just be able to get in touch with folks if there's a need." So that level of just like that is what democracy looks like, right? And
Yes.
the initiative of people to identify a need and then ask around, find a buddy, figure out what that solution looks like.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And it's just, I was on a organizing call this morning and someone said, can we just remind each other to check on their neighbors,
Yeah.
and make sure you've got all your neighbors' phone numbers. This matters right now. Have a
Yes.
potluck together. Get
That's
ready.
right.
All
That's
right.
right. And I just want to say, people are delivering groceries. We're giving kids rides to school. We are, doing rent funds to help people pay their utility bills. The first of the month just happened and folks aren't able to go to work. So there's just so many roles. And no matter who you are and how much experience you have, there is a place for you in it. And so get ready.
All right, we're going to get ready. Thank you for the inspiration, Reverend Ashley. You are incredible. Please stay in touch. And of course, we have our eyes on Minneapolis in
Mhm.
solidarity, and we are all in this together. Thank you for
Right
inspiring
back
me.
at you to Springfield. Take care, friends. Be safe and resist.
Now, let's get back to making sure as we engage in all of this work that we do it safely and we really know our rights. We're bringing on some people who know a lot about that. I am going to bring on Colin Marozzi from ACLU, Ohio. Okay, this is who we turn to make sure that we know our rights. We needed to have you here, Colin. What are the most important rights people should know when interacting with ICE? What are some of the most common myths or misunderstandings? Give us the good info.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Katie, and everybody for having me here. Totally honored to be here with you all. I'll start with your last question. What are some of the biggest myths surrounding ICE and Border Patrol enforcement? And that is that though they are law enforcement, they are not law enforcement in the sense of your local police department. What does that mean? Well, ICE and Border Patrol have a much narrower legal jurisdiction. They are not able to detain or arrest somebody for jaywalking or for loitering or for trespassing. Their mission and their arrest authority is confined to conducting their mission and any incidental contact they have with others during the execution of that mission. So that is why when you are seeing ICE agents in Minneapolis, indiscriminately alleging interference among protesters and among the crowd, that's strategic. And that is pretext for their right, their ability to go in and detain individuals. So it's very important for folks to understand, first of all, that yes, these are your rights. These are best practices. But it's very clear, as we've seen over the course of the last month, that there is no way to guarantee 100% safety if you are attending protests. ICE and Border Patrol agents are simply acting so far out of their bounds of their legal mandate. They're constantly violating protesters' constitutional rights, taking life as well. So we certainly want to urge safety. So one of the biggest
And I just want to
rights
say,
that we
Colin, we're going to have Tanisha Garrett on in just a moment from the Democracy Security Project to give people very specific guidance on how to stay safe. Physical safety in these situations is so important. Go ahead,
Sure,
Colin.
sure. So we want to make sure folks understand they do have a right to record. They do have a right to stand on public spaces, roads, sidewalks, parks. You do have a right to remain silent should you encounter ICE or immigration law enforcement. They have to honor your request to obtain legal counsel before speaking. You may exercise your Fifth Amendment right in their presence. It's also important to know what you can't do. And what you cannot do is actively harbor individuals. And we're going to get to this later, but that is a key line of demarcation. I want everybody to know we can protest peacefully. We can love blindly, love our neighbors blindly, but there is prohibitions on, on harboring individuals that may or may not be subject to ICE enforcement.
We appreciate
A little
you
heavy.
giving us. Yes, we know. I mean, this is real and this is uncharted territory in many ways. Okay, I'm going to have one last question, and then we are going to bring on Tisha from Democracy Security Project to talk about this physical safety. Also, I do want to pause for just a second and say to everyone watching here, can you all give me, I don't know, 5 or 10 more minutes past 9:30? I know we said we'd go till 9:30, but we are so close to reaching this 100K goal for these critical organizations on the ground. We want to make sure that we give you all the guidance you need to stay safe out there. And we want to make sure that we get put up the, okay, I can't even finish. You all are saying yes, absolutely. Okay, so Colin, let's get back to it. This is what I want to know. How can communities, faith groups, book clubs, local organizations, how do we prepare together right now? We got some good advice from Ashley from ACLU's perspective. How can we prepare right now, to protect our neighbors, to make sure we're sharing accurate information, prevent panic, in
Yeah,
this chaos?
absolutely. So the first and best thing I would say is create an anti-discrimination policy in your organization and implement it now. What do I mean by that? So you want to create an existing policy within your organization that says, regardless of your citizenship status, your race, your gender identity, your sex, all are welcome. We serve all, because then you have the ability to act as a place of refuge and a place of sanctuary, especially for faith groups who operate churches, hospitals. People have, we have reports of ICE operations in hospitals. These same tips and apply to those types of settings as well. We want to check in. If you aren't a nonprofit or you're not a direct service provider, think about maybe starting days of service for your employees to go volunteer for other community organizations that are actually doing that boots on the ground work. And also, having identified partners and clear lines of communication when things do get hectic on encrypted platforms like Signal or WhatsApp. Those are often the best ways to communicate securely, and making sure that when you are sharing information, it's verified, it's not conjecture, because we have seen where confusion has led to some very, very unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah. All right, Colin, I think you've got us all sobered to the reality at hand. And so I want to thank you so much for your time. Keep up the good fight, and let's keep in good communication ourselves as we fight
Thank
this
you.
across Ohio and the country. Okay, very thrilled to be bringing on Tisha Garrett. She's joined us before. We asked her back because she's so good at making us feel confident and understanding what we need to do to stay safe.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. I will try to be quick, but also effective in this time. So what I want to talk to you all about is, in the event that you actually are out there on the ground, you're rallying for your neighbors in Ohio, Minnesota, California, wherever it may be. I want you to think about these things when it comes to protest safety is, what we call it at my organization, Democracy Security Project. But really, it's community organizing when you're out there on the ground. So, dress for the event. I am in Metro DC right now. It's been a cold snap. I would not go out and protest or to protect my community in shorts and a t-shirt right now. Um, making sure that you are dressed for the weather is the thing that is going to protect you most. We see weather take people out more than law enforcement, honestly. So, dressing for the event. Travel in groups when possible. Of protest people are the nicest people. Make friends if you aren't going with someone um, while you're there, because one, you want some safety in numbers in case something does happen. If you're with friends, you can let them know who to call for you, all of that sort of stuff. Um, don't post your location in real time. This is something that's changing in the moment, right? It's something we have, at DSP have said for a long time, which is, you want to tell people in your community that you are out there fighting for your community. You want to invite people to come and join you. There is a little bit of a risk profile. You have to think about that and consider. One is that you are then alerting people to where you are. You may be bringing bad actors to a location. The other flip side of that is that right now, rapid response has been how we've been protecting people and posting your location, telling people, like, hey, ICE is at 5th and Main is what has been protecting our communities. So what I'm asking you here is to weigh your risk profile when you're thinking about posting your real-time location on your social media accounts. Use encrypted communications. And I'm going to go a step further here, which is start to vet and verify who is in your encrypted communications. We have been working with a lot of organizers in Minnesota, in Maine, in California, and a lot of the signal groups that people are creating are beautiful ways for communities to come together. They also are being infiltrated by influencers who want to use that information to do reputational harm to your community, to organizations. And so you want to do like a quick vet, whether it's like searching on social media, seeing that people are values alarmed. If people are supposed to live in your neighborhood, making sure they do live in your neighborhood. So doing a quick vet to make sure that you're keeping the right people in your community or in your chats. Know your rights, plus plus to everything that Colin just said. And then what's the last one? Oh, practice de-escalation. And we'll talk a little more about that. But when you're an active bystander, here are the things that we want you to remember. What is being an active bystander? When you are in the middle of whether it's police action, immigration action, whatever it may be, how do you make sure that you are safely and legally watching out for your community? How do you be a good bystander? So, one, you need to ensure your own safety because if you get picked up, you aren't able to tell the story. So, you want to maintain your distance between you and law enforcement. You're going to observe the situation and remember you have the right to record the incident. Law enforcement are telling people all over the country that they do not have the right. It is your First Amendment right to record the incident. You want to remind people who are being detained of their rights. We'll go through just like a quick reminder of some of the things that Colin just said. And then also, you want to think about sharing that information once you've collected it. Do you give it to local media, advocacy organizations, immigration organizations like the ones who have been on this call, folks who are working to track what's going on? Do you share that information on your community members who may have been picked up with those types of organizations, letting people know what's going on, where action is taking place? Knowing your rights, these are the things that we want you to remind people of, that they have the right to remain silent, that you can ask, am I free to go? And if you are free to go, you turn around and walk. You cannot be searched without consent. Do not sign anything. We are hearing this over and over that people are being asked to sign things. You have the right to refuse to sign anything until you talk to a lawyer. And my screen is in front of the list. You have the right to speak to a lawyer. So keeping in mind that you have the right to speak to an attorney. If you are going out to do action, something to keep in mind, maybe even writing an attorney's phone number, legal aid on your arm, because folks are being picked up and their devices are being taken from them. I can tell you, my husband's downstairs. I have no idea what that man's phone number is. I have to write it down on me. In the event that I'm going to an action. Yeah, we still love each other. Physical safety. So there are things that we do at DSP when it comes to physical training. We've recently launched Understanding Law Enforcement Training, Event and Protest Safety. This is our number in 1234 DSP help. Someone answers that phone number almost 24 hours a day. And then info at Democracy Security Project. Reach out to us. We're here to be a help and a tool to you to make sure that you can stay safe while you're keeping your community safe. So thank you for having me. And thank you all for being here and for being so generous.
Thank you so much, Tisha. That was so, so helpful. And for everyone who had additional questions, Tisha, we are including, I just want to make sure, and Julie, I know that you're talking to Tisha. Let's make sure that we have that information Tisha shared at the end for follow-up questions about these specific issues. People are asking some really good questions in the chat, and we don't have time to get to all of them tonight, but I know how amazing your organization is and responsive and can help folks out with that. So on our resource page, on our follow-up email, we'll be sending out to everyone. We are going to make sure that you have the resources you need, not only for what was shared tonight, but also so that you can get additional information to answer your specific questions. They're all important. Thank you, Tisha. Okay, I'm bringing Pastor Carl back because he was texting me during this event and saying, I know these organizations firsthand that folks are donating to. Can I share more about them? And I said, okay, Pastor Carl, hold your horses. We got to get through a lot of speakers, but yes, please come back and speak more
Yeah.
about these organizations on the ground.
First of all, I want to say I have no formal connections with any of them, but for years, if there's any need in our community, whether it's from a homeless person or a Haitian or whatever, St. Vincent de Paul's is the place they go. And when all other options run out, St. Vincent's takes care of them. They are amazing. So I encourage you to give to them. I've worked
And
with
that was
Able.
Casey Rollins' organization.
That's Casey Rollins, yeah.
Yes, who
She,
spoke
she's
earlier.
only so-so, but the organization's amazing.
Casey's
Um,
amazing. He's
I've worked with Able for over a decade, and they provide low cost or no cost legal aid for people who are in desperate situations and have no other way to defend themselves. And I know the lawyers personally. They are amazing. They've been in the community doing training. They provide legal aid, and they're great. And can't say enough about Haitian Support Center. They're trying to raise $500,000 to finish a building that they purchased. And after they purchased it, they discovered all kinds of code issues that kept moving the price up. But they've owned it for over a year and still aren't in it because they're not able to finish that project. So they need $500,000. And I'm hoping that in all of this media attention that they're getting, I'm hoping that they'll get that and more. But they are really limited in what they can do because they don't have a facility, they don't have physical space.
I visited with Vilace close to a year and a half ago in the building that I know that they currently are, and I know how great the need is for them to have more space. It is, I was shocked when I rolled up and I saw where they
Yeah.
are operating out of, considering the support that they provide. They do need that
Yeah.
new space. They
And
need
they've had
that.
some real struggles with their current location and this, it just can't happen soon enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Carl, for sharing all of, that on the ground intel expertise. You have seen the people who run these organizations work up close, and we just appreciate you sharing just a little bit more. Donate to the Haitian Help Center, to St. Vincent de Paul Community Center, and ABLE, which provides that critical legal support. Contact Congress regarding DHS funding and TPS status for Haitians. No matter where you live, you can do that right now, and call tomorrow and send another email tomorrow and then call again and share it with your friends. All of our emails give you follow-up actions to do because we know how badly people want to help right now. If you live in Ohio, as I know many of you do who are still here, contact Governor DeWine to demand no Ohio law enforcement cooperation with ICE or Border Patrol. We know that that is a risk. Let's tell him how we feel. And since you all are here, I need you all to know that it is so important that we have our own safe spaces to connect with each other. Red, White, and Blue was sick and tired of relying on the tech bro billionaires and their algorithm controlled spaces. So just a few months ago, we launched the Red, White, and Blue app, and we already have 30,000 of you on there with us, talking to each other every day, sharing resources. If you get with us on the Red, White, and Blue app, we are going to give you ways of connecting with other folks where you live to take action together. Red, White, and Blue has something that we call Red, White, and Blue's Trouble Nation. And these are groups all across the country. There are 800 of them. They are in all 50 states. There are 65 of them just in Ohio. And these are local groups that are working together to do things like go to county commission meetings together, to go to school board meetings together, and also just to support each other, be in community together. And I guarantee you, even if you're living in a place where you feel kind of alone, I heard somebody in the chat say, well, how do you build community when there's no one around me who feels like I do? If there's one thing I've learned in my time working with Red, White, and Blue and Red, White, and Blue's Troubled Nation groups across Ohio, no one is alone. I guarantee you, you're not alone. And if you are feeling that way and you want to get involved and find your people, just reach out to us. Email the Ohio team at ohio@redwine.blue. We will find your people with you. There are members of Red, Wine, and Blue in all 88 counties of Ohio and all 50 states of this country, and we can always help find your people with you. You're not alone. I guarantee it. And the fact that so many of you showed up here tonight is further affirmation of that. 103,000! And that doesn't even include the match. You all keep donating. Share this link with your friends. We did it. Thank you for sticking with me till 9:45. Thanks to my husband who put the kids to bed. And thanks to all of you for being here tonight. Thank you so much. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.